Hi guys, how are you doing? How are you doing? Like really, I'm fine and I'm super excited to be talking about this. I've contemplated about talking about it. My initial thought is maybe people would ask that I'm not a man. Why do I want to talk about men? But then I realized at a later stage that I don't think I need to be a man to talk about men. So, like the title says, is redefining masculinity, what it means to be a man, and especially in society and relationships. Especially, yeah, relationships. I will be talking specifically to romantic relationships, what it means to be a man in a romantic relationship. So, I am a mother to a beautiful boy, so I hope one day when he's grown, he will be absorbed in a society, or as he's growing, he'll grow up in a society that considers men. Besides me being a mom, I'm a sister to brothers. I'm a cousin to brothers. I have friends. I have relatives. I have people I care about that are from that gender. So men. A lot of topics or a lot of conversations in our communities are centered around the girl child. While there is nothing wrong with that, I think we as a community, we as a people, fail our men because we often don't give them platforms, we don't listen to them, we kind of have a set layer of attributes that we just want to be exuded or demonstrated in them for them to be called men. That is what I would later be calling toxic masculinity. Bear with me and the terms, I'm making these things up in my head as I understand them. So let's start with the society. You can start at any stage of being a boy, a man, or it doesn't matter. In society, if you are a guy, there's constant things like you're not supposed to be emotional. If you are emotional, then it's only those very strong and unhealthy emotions like extreme anger that may even result in violence. Because you are a man, apparently you're supposed to be strong. Yes, I think physically strong, but not being violent towards others as a sign of being called a man. Like, yeah, I even remember apparently, okay, yeah, I don't remember, it's something that used to happen, and I've heard it from elders that apparently a man in some cultures was expected to beat the woman, his woman, and that is seen as a sign of love apparently. And women understood that if they were not beaten, that the man doesn't love them. Some would even cry and beg them to be beaten as a sign of love. For me, that is just violence. There is no need to beat someone to prove that you are a man, that you are masculine, that you're strong. Then we do away with that. There's this thing of men don't cry. I've personally become so sensitive to those generic or traditional ways of defining what a man is and is not. Like, what do you mean men don't cry? So a small child falls and they cry, then you're like, shh, 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 shh. You're a man. Overlumen. That boy, that young man, that old man, you are telling to shh, 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 shh. You are teaching them an unhealthy way to deal with emotion. You are teaching them to bottle up things. You are teaching them that they are not considered human enough to qualify to express their emotions. Before there is a man and a woman, there is a human being. A human being who have emotions and processes events just like any other. Maybe strengths wise, like emotional strengths will differ. Doesn't mean every man will cry. Some probably don't cry anymore because they are afraid of how they will be viewed in society, and I understand them. I've had this conversation with my brothers, with my friends, and they told me, you know what, there's no point discussing my emotions or how I feel or what I'm struggling with, because at the end of the day I've said it. And then yes, I've said it, yes, like there's nothing that will go like there's nothing stopping them from saying it. But deep down in the minds of the people that are looking to that boy, to that man, they have already classified them as umkatarume. how do you call that in English? Please someone with the word of umkatarume, like you are not a man enough, like you are a sissy. Yes. Like no man wants to be called a sissy just because they cried, so they're gonna keep it in. Keeping it in does not mean they are not upset. Does not mean they are not about to cry. Does not mean they're not about to have a breakdown. And them crying can be a source of anything. Maybe they lost someone or lost something. They lost their job. They lost their business. So much things. Maybe they went through a breakup. Maybe they are being abused. Anyway, at home, in the relationship, da 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 da. Now you are saying for a girl, if somebody upsets you, if somebody hurts you, cry, cry. We are gonna be like, yeah, sorry, my girl, sorry, my girl. A boy goes through the same thing. So how do you explain that? You are having, do you know that if someone is walking around with unresolved issues, there's a lot there, a lot of unresolved issues. There can be a lot of mixed emotions from anger and everything. And that's why when a man reacts, when they snap, there's extreme actions there, because sometimes it's not even the event, that one event that happened. It's a collection of events that they never found a way to express themselves. Now they are angry about 1,000 things. Men, you're more than free to correct me and say no, this is not right. But personally, just from understanding a human nature, you are so tired of carrying everything else around inside you just so that you'll be recognized as a man. Remember, when you were born as a man, or whenever you begin to identify as a man, that's when you begin to be a man. You do not need to do a lot of things that society is telling you to prove that you're a man. And you know what? Deep down, people know this. Deep down, if you have deep conversation with other people, they'll be like nodding. But it's one thing to know something and understand it, and it's another to act upon it. So someone can still have a very relatable conversation about how men, kids are not treated fairly, how they are not given chances and all those things, and still go and put that boy, that man, in that position. They will still be the one throwing all kinds of tantrums and all kinds of shade that will affect how that man reacts. Because if society didn't tell people, like if a man cries on katarumi, if a man complains on katarumi, if you just, sometimes you're not complaining, sometimes you just want to share, like, I'm genuinely not okay, I'm genuinely struggling with this, I would like to take a rest. But it's like, if you're a man, there's no room for that. Guys, are we really conditioning our boys to be like that? And mind you, just because the society has made it okay, even if you go, even like if you go to the law, let's say you are reporting a certain case of abuse, if you're a girl, that case is handled rather fast as opposed to a male counterpart. The men will be laughed at and like, oh, ngene weyo weya kulopota kama jonangwe ni mufike pamene, or weya kulopota ngulukati. Ne? But yes, isn't the system there for everyone? I've seen people, spoken to people that said, even if anything happens to me, I'm not gonna go there. Why? Things can just continue happening to me because there's just not a healthy platform. Yes, they say come and report, but when you report, they start laughing at you like, oh, you came to report a girl. No, go home and show her flames. People don't want to resort to violence, but you think it's just a joke. It's not a joke, because it's also the only conversation that's happening. It's very few people out there that are assuring their boys and their men that it's okay. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to recognize that you're being treated unfairly and to stand up for yourself. But the standing up for yourself that society wants to offer is go fight back over Lumenu. You're a man. No. You know, everybody experiences life. Everybody, despite of your gender. The man, you will never hear about it because there's just no room for them to tell you. It's like they are also not allowed to fail. If he goes and says, I lost my job, I lost my business, then all of a sudden you're a failure and you're no longer respected because you no longer have your status, you no longer have the income. So sometimes in efforts to keep shining, to keep looking like you're still going as a strong man, you start doing, you know, some people can even resort to, you know, uh, doing too much, trying to just find their position or to gain respect in society. Even if you're in a relationship, mostly I can go home and cry and say, you know, I lost my job today, or I was mistreated today when I was the I didn't like that. And then he will now have to avail himself, be a man, and say, I'm sorry, it's gonna be okay. But when it's his turn to say something in that line, then there's all of a sudden not a platform anymore. You don't come here with complaints. You are not a man like I thought you were. You're not as strong as I thought you were. You are so weak for me. I can't be with you anymore. To be honest, these are real things that happen. Maybe you haven't done it to anyone. Maybe it hasn't been done to you as a man. But they are real people, real men that are going through this. And, you know, like if you're in a relationship, most of us women, we have come as standards. It's okay to have standards. I mean, any decent woman should lay down standards. If no one is mentoring you, take a few steps in, you know, building your own standards. It's really great to have your own standards, you know, when it comes to dating or just any other thing. So in my standard, or in one lady's standard, is no, I need myself. The men should have stable income. He should be able to do ABC. Maybe he must even own a car. He must have a property already, because he cannot marry me and go put me in a flat. Da 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 da. Okay. Now sometimes the person demanding these things doesn't even have those things, but they miraculously expect the next person to have it. Sometimes, you know, like, look, some people, if you are in your early 20s, or you are even below 20, you are mostly starting out your life, and maybe the partner you are expecting those things are within the same age mate. I mean, generally, I wouldn't expect someone in their 20s, just because they are men, they're supposed to have life all figured out. Like, yeah, like when they're approaching a girl, then they have, yeah, I have a car, I have a what, I have a what. Now, because that is the trend, I'm not saying everyone does it, but it's the popular trend. You find men that are putting up an appearance. Maybe they borrow a car from someone to come show you that I'm established and I have a car. To be honest, they are not. I'm not saying all men, I'm saying some. They are not established, but they have to look like they are established, because if they don't show that image, then they are not accepted. They are not, you know, I've even seen people, when they find out later that this person is not as wealthy as I thought they will be, or is not really where they were in life, because later when you start getting close, the real situation will start to reveal themselves. They can only pretend for so long, like me pretending to be staying in an uptown. Maybe I have to ask someone to stay in their apartment every time you're coming to visit, so that I look like I'm staying in this location that you want. Imagine, you know, a lot of tactical thinking, just so that the man can be accepted, so the girl he wants can date him. It breaks my heart, guys. Like, yes, we are raising girls to have standard and whatnot, but we are not doing anything for the boys. Like, them also, they need to understand that they shouldn't accept just any kind of pressure. Yes, it's very natural to want to be wanted or to be accepted, and because of it's normal. Just because I'm making this video doesn't mean tomorrow people will start looking at men different ways. It might take time, really, because this is a generational thing. It's like, this is why I said we are redefining masculinity. To be honest, the amount of money you have is not what defines how much of a man you are, because these are temporary aspects. Anyone can make money and they can lose money at any given point. So let's say you are working so hard to get money just so that you can be recognized and accepted and loved. Just stop. If you want the money, get it for yourself, not for recognition. not for recognition. Sorry, my phone was reporting a low battery. Because if you use those material things, those tangible things, yes, in the moment that you have them, they will have you a lot of people coming to you, whether it's society, whether it's your family, whether it's a girlfriend, whether it's, things like that, or a partner. But if, if and when one day, God forbid, you find yourself no longer in a position to be there, it's like you were being loved only for those status, not for who you truly are. Because behind that money, behind that house, behind the person that buys all the booze for everyone at the club, there is a person with a personality, with good qualities that are good enough. Because sometimes other people, even women, sometimes those qualities are all they're bringing to the table. They're not really coming with a financially stable thing. Maybe they have something little going on, but not exorbitant things. It takes time to build wealth. It takes time to build yourself up. Why do you think it's okay to expect that much from a fellow 20-year-old? From where? Are they born by some rich person? Even if they are, what if those riches one day are not there? Does that mean whatever relationship was there, whether it's romantic or just otherwise, will no longer be there? I was so saddened. There was a time where there were so much divorce cases, and apparently, I'm referencing it because I think it's becoming relevant now. Apparently, it's because we had people, business people, that were called entrepreneurs in our country. So when the economy kind of sank, there were no more tenders, and tenders is how they used to make money. So those men, apparently, their partners who made an oath even to God that they wanted to be with a person for better and for worse, they went and filed for divorce because apparently they will not stay here for poverty. So that is supposed to just teach us that yes, you can acquire something with materialistic things like a relationship. You can come off looking very attractive, but don't set yourself up for that. Ne? Let the girl love you for who you are. If you're hardworking and able to provide and do whatever in the absence of ridiculous amounts of money or worth, it should be able to work. If it is about the money and the wealth, then I don't think this is a relationship. It is starting to sound like a business transaction. It's starting someone to look like they are looking for a best place to invest. Eh? But remember, if you're investing, you must also have money to invest. So, yeah, you find now men that are outdoing themselves in those romantic relationships to just be loved. Because sometimes I've seen it, man, like, okay, the person says, I want to be taken to the salon. Now the whole year your salon money is on that poor boy. His haircut costs far less than your hairstyle. You don't even offer him a haircut, but he's just expected to flash you with those things and not get anything in return. Where I think this is just one-sided something, ne? Which is not fair to them, and they don't have a place to say that, because if they complain, then all of a sudden ukata rumara, it's being a sissy if you complain. Kaishukata rumega. Let's look at the situation and see what it is for what it is. Because in a relationship, you are the one that is to receive Brazilian. You are the one that is to be bought iPhone. You are the one that is to be taken to the salon. You are the one that is to receive flowers. What does he get for his birthday? Socks or nothing. And he's not supposed to complain because he is the man. And being a man means you are the provider of everything. Yes, you can provide. But sit back and realize, if on days when there's nothing for you to do, because there are days that are going to be like that, life is just like that. You can't be on your highest every day. And if you have a partner or a brother or anyone that you just wait them to shower you with things, and you don't even stop to wonder, how are they doing? What are they doing to afford all these things? If you don't stop to think, then I would like to think you are really selfish and just ignorant. Because what if someone is committing crime to make sure you are sorted, because they care so much about you and what you think about them, because they don't want to risk being seen as sissies or akatarumes and whatnot. They don't want to be left for another man. They don't want to be left for another man who can do these things. I even hear people are threatening, yeah, I have so many men in my inbox, so you better do this. If you don't, then I'll just move. Guys, those things, they are not right. To my brothers, it's not right. Yeah? We can have some more talks about this, but I think this is like scratching the surface of what is happening, what happens, and really, there's no amount of money or things that you can give to buy yourself a status, respect, and most importantly, love. You are loved. Sometimes you just need to look around who really loves you for who you are and who is just here for nice things. I saw a nice quote the other day. Someone said, gents, take your leave if you're at work. Take your leave for say 21 days. Go home to your partner or your wife. Pretend you lost your job. Just for those weeks to see how your partner, supposedly a girl or a female, responds. How they respond is who you truly have married or have committed yourself to. Because rest assured, there will be those that will be running for their lives. Kama tekare ronjara. I will not stay here for hunger for people that don't have any source of income now. It happens, but because maybe there's so much to prove, I don't want you to have anything to prove. You are a man. In the absence of anything, you are on your own path. You can take your own time to generate your worth and the independence and the stability that you need to. And you are allowed to be sensitive. You are allowed to have feelings. You are allowed to express those feelings. Do so. I know it is hard because for the longest, there is no communication about this. For the longest, there is no room for you to be all these things. And if you need help in taking those steps, because this is part of taking care of you and loving yourself, because you're so caught up in doing things to be loved by other people, but do you love yourself? Like, do you have your self-love? Like, yes, for people, like internal love. So you need to start. I don't know, like it's difficult really, because it's just, even if today somebody goes and starts crying, we are most likely, as the society, going to shame that person. And it's that shaming that defies the whole purpose. It's that shaming that stops people from revealing their feelings and how they're doing. As a society, need to step back and start doing right by our boys. Let them be humans before this toxic masculinity story. Just because a man cried doesn't mean anything. He is still a man. Just because he acknowledged not being where you think he must be in life does not change the fact that he's still a man. Okay? And yes, to everyone that has men in their lives, you need to spread this message. Get this video to your brothers, to your cousins, to your partners, to all the men out there. They're allowed to be humans. Thank you, and that's all from me today.